Mm, still, right, sure. Okay, beta. So let's do this. Let's start with Namokar mantra. So let's recite it together. Namo Arihantanam,
Praram,
Namo Siddhanam,
Praram,
Namo Ayerinam,
Vidyaram,
Namo
Loy,
Uvajjanam, Namo Lori
Loy,
Avadahunam,
Sauram,
Eso Panchanam
Lokaram,
Paru, Savapava
Lokapanasaro,
Mangalanam cha Savesim Padamam Havai Mangalam. Jai Jinan बच्चों. So after reciting the Panch Parameshti Bhagwan's name in Namokar Mantra, we are going to start our class today. Today we are going to cover couple of stories. We don't have any uh, video work coming to us from assigned from the classroom coordinators. So I will cover couple of stories as per my discretion and based on what we have not covered so far. Okay, so
okay.
let me. I think I have already shared my screen. Correct? You can see my screen.
I can see the screen.
Okay,
I
perfect.
don't know about everybody else, but I can see the screen just fine.
If you can see it, everyone can see it. Okay.
Kids. Most likely.
Okay, so let me now play the story. Okay, this is story about just some background. This story is about Acharya Kund Kund or Acharya Kond Kond. Acharya Kund Kund is considered as one of the most important acharya in the lineage of acharya that we had, and I think his time period was somewhere around first or second century AD, and his contributions have been with called the documentation of Jainism and Jain philosophy has been immense, especially in the Digambar tradition, and some Svetambars also follow him. He wrote several most important books that are still followed by Jains. One of them, one of the core scripture that uh, Acharya Kundakund, or sometimes we say Bhagwan Kundakund, has given us is Samaysar. What's the name?
Samesar.
Samaysar. It's one of the most revered of the books, which is perhaps in the Jain Swadhyay circles, one of the most, one of the books, one of the scriptures that's on which the most Swadhyaya are happening in the current time, right? So people have high reverence for Acharya Kondakund. Acharya Kondakund, as I said, he was born in, I think, the time period between first and second century, and he was born in south of India, right? So his exact place of birth is in the south Andhra, very close to Tamil Nadu. And he was one of those saints who used to follow the Digambar tradition to the T, and he documented all the practices which are yet followed by all the various Digambar Sanghs. So every Digambar Sangh across the nation, across India, who exist today, have high reverence for Acharya Kundakund. Okay, so we are going to go through his story today. The story is being told from with a cowherder, cowherd, vantage point, and the interaction between him and Bhagwan Kundakund. One other fact about Acharya Kundakund is, the reason why he's so revered is even before him there was Digambar tradition. It was always there, but Acharya Kundakund reorganized the Chaturvidya Sangh in such a way that most of the scriptures that are available today, because most of the scriptures got lost as well, right? So most of the Digambar tradition scriptures that are available today, they all came from south of India, and that way the connection to Acharya Kundakund and the reverence to Acharya Kundakund is present in all of those texts. right? Shatkhandagam and any other texts that were written in uh, 3rd century, 4th century, 5th century, 8th century, 9th century, 10th, 12th, all the way to 18th and 19th century.
Wait, there.
Right. You would find text references to Bhagwan Kund Kund, Acharya Kund Kund. You have a question, Vikhyat?
No, I thought like there's still stuff in the 19th century about him.
Yes, yes. They as in they wrote, whoever the writers who wrote the books, they paid homage to Acharya Kund Kund. They kind of
Why don't?
established. Can
So
I
then why
complete
don't?
my sentence, Vikyat? Can I
Yes, sir.
complete my sentence, please? You have to keep your thoughts, okay? So they paid their homage to Acharya Kundukund and showed their respect to Acharya Kundukund. Not just that, they did interpretation of the text of original work of Acharya Kundukund. So what we call as Tika, which is like a critique, writing a critique on Acharya Kundukund's work. So those were written in 19th, 20th century as well. Okay. Now I'm taking a pause so you can ask your question, Vikhyat. Go
But what
ahead.
I was saying is like there's still stuff. So why don't modern writers about this stuff about gender write now?
Absolutely, absolutely. Even modern, but modern I'm discounting upon because that we'll talk about anyways, right? We are already following his texts, right? Which there were so many translations that were done in early and late 20th century and even in 21st century of his works, right? So his contributions and his upkar on us is immense, immense. And as I said, Samaysar is perhaps the most popular of the Granth at this point from a Swadhyay perspective. There are so many congregations that do nothing but they follow every day, they do Swadhyay and Samaysar. And Samaysar is the one of the most important texts, scriptures written by Acharya Kundukut. Okay, so with that said, let me play the story. Before I do that, let me do one check. I just want to ensure that we have the video, you know, mm, let's see. Do we have the video playing on Pramanik, the classroom video? So that's what I'm checking. One thing I would do is go back and check something here. It looks like it's not playing, so I have to do some.
Judgment, everyone. Sorry, I just joined.
No, no worries, beta. No worries. I am just checking if I'm live. One thing I would do is go back. Okay, yeah. Looks like I'm going live. It's just that why is it's private. No, I think it's all good. I can see it for sure. So hopefully it's available online as well for everyone. But irrespective, let me start the story now, okay?
A cowherd is walking with his herd of cows. He's taking them for grazing. His name is Kondesh the cowherd. Oh, who are these good people? And why are they going across the other side of the jungle? Let's go and see. Look there. A Digambar monk is sitting under a big green tree. His name is Muniraj. What is he saying? All living beings are God. Everyone has the capacity to become God. And if everyone started to recognize.
You know what is our most key differentiator? What is the differentiation between Jainism and any other religion? Most of the religions that what they preach. Buddhism and is perhaps the one of the few. I would say there are only two religions, and Jainism is one of them, the more prominent one in terms of the philosophical advantage, is the only religion that says that any jeev, any soul can become God. There is no distinction between God and the normal souls that we are. If you make the right directional efforts, the most important thing is it's not just making efforts, but directional efforts. then you can become God. Vikhyat can become God. Samyak can become God. Aviral can become God if you make directional effort. So that is the main differentiation between Jainism and any other religion that believes in a supreme being. As per Jainism, the nobody is running this universe. Nobody has created this universe. Nobody will destroy this universe. All the things that happen in this universe are an act of karma, your own efforts, right? So the interaction between the karmic particles, which are Pudgal, and the living particle, that's soul, defines this universe for you. This is the only religion. And the main text that kind of reinforces this point for Jainism is Samaysar Granth. That's what Acharya Kundakund keeps saying in Samaysar Granth, and that's about you can become God. You have the characteristics of God. You are the God particle. You could become God if you make the right directional efforts. Okay, so you will not find, like, you talk about Christianity, they talk about a supreme God who lives somewhere above heaven or in the heaven, who knows where. And so does the Islamic faith, and so does the Hindu faiths, or the better part of Hindu faith, which says that there is a supreme being or a trinity of God who are running this universe. We don't say that. Jainism is not about that. Jainism does not believe in creationism. Jainism does not believe in a separate entity called Supreme Being who is running the show. It's not like that. It is you who is running the show for yourself. It's your own efforts, your own choices, your own directionality that defines where you will end. And that's what came out of also that got documented very well by Acharya Kundakund also. Okay, so let me keep going.
Their innermost self. Then everyone started to recognize their innermost self. Then everyone would be happy and nobody would be sad. But Kondesh doesn't understand this. He starts wondering, can a cowherd like me become a god? How? With these thoughts in mind, he returned home. And after a few days, he came back to the forest and saw that the entire forest was burned in a fire. He found just one tree that survived. Now I remember, this is the same tree under which Muniraj sat. Under that tree, he found an entire religious book written on a palm leaf. In the olden days, there was no paper. Everything was written on the dried leaves of a palm tree, which was known as Tadpatra. The cowherd thought that it must be a very special and great manuscript. That's why it did not let the tree above it burn in the fire. Kondesh grew respectful of the manuscript. So he brought that manuscript to his house and with the utmost devotion started worshipping it daily. One day he saw Muniraj again, and his happiness knew no bounds. So he thought of gifting the manuscript to Muniraj. That would eventually help other people learn. So Kondesh ran to Muniraj, and with utmost humility, Kondesh requested Muniraj to accept the Tadpatra. Muniraj blessed him and said, "You will soon find a way to your soul. You will gain knowledge of the soul, and people will remember you for thousands of years. People will remember this contribution for years to come." In his next life, Kondesh was born into a rich family in a city named Kunkunpur. His new name was Padmanandi, and his parents would sing hymns and lullabies to him about the purification of the soul. Padmanandi was smart. One day, Acharya Jinchandraji came to his city. While listening to the Acharya's sermons, Padmanandi started thinking of taking Diksha, meaning to renounce worldly life for an ascetic one, for the welfare of his soul. He was only 12 years old when he decided to take Diksha. Taking approval from his parents, at the tender age of 12, Padmanandi took Diksha and became Padma Muni. Under the of Acharya Jinchandraji,
Neelu,
he observed
I don't hear noise.
Padma Muni became an Acharya. And since he was born in the city of Kunkunpur, he became Kunkundacharya. There have been many acharyas before Kunkundacharya, but you know what is so amazing about Kunkundacharya? He was the first acharya
Vikyat, can you be on mute, please?
in 2,000 years who wrote down the secret to purification of the soul for everybody. He wrote Samaisar, Niyamsar, Pravachansar, and 84 other similar books. These books showed ways to detach the soul from negative emotions, free the self from bad karma, and purify the soul. So you see, kids, Gondish the cowherd, who did not even know how to read and write, he saved the supreme religious manuscript and handed it over to Muniraj. And this good deed would make him an acharya whose name we have remembered for thousands of years.
Okay. So that story of Acharya Kunda Kunda and his past lives. But the most important thing out there for to understand is, as I was telling you earlier at the start, right? The biggest contributions of Acharya Kunda Kunda has been that, see, Mahavir Bhagwan was born about 2,500 years ago. And then through the line of Gandhars and then Shrutkevlis, the Jainism kind of the original Vani or of Bhagwan survived, but then as time progressed, it started getting lost because there was not a tradition of writing it down. Remember, we had done that story where for the first time in the late centuries, the actual text work of Bhagwan got documented. In that tradition, it is Acharya Kund Kund who organized the text and the original Vani of Bhagwan into these scripture works, the Samaysar Granth, which I talked about. In addition to that, Niyamsar, Pravachansar, these are like as the three most popular out of the 84 that he wrote. And out of these three and all the texts that we have access to, the most popular is Samaysar. So one very important name that I think all of you should remember beyond this Pathshala class is obviously the name of Acharya Kundakund and his contributions and his upkar on us, but more importantly, the name of the text. And the name of the text is Samaysar. Okay? So if somebody asks you, okay, name me one piece of scripture, one Jinwani or one Agam for Jainism, one name that you can always take is Samaysar. Okay? So please keep that in mind. Okay. Now, one other thing. So other fact I shared with you, right? So which was in the story also, like he was born in Kondakondapur, which is down south. So, people have this tendency, especially the North Indian people like us, who have North Indian roots, they have a tendency to think, oh, Jainism is a North Indian religion. It is not. Jainism is a pan-Indian, it's a universal religion, and it's majority of our texts that are available now, including Samaysar, was written when Jainism was a prominent religion in the first few centuries of the AD era. And they were written in the south of India. They survived in south of India. So the contributions of Digambar Jainism in particular from south is immense. It is immense, and we should be respectful for that. Okay. So if somebody says, oh, I'm a South Indian boy in your class, and it looks like Jainism is a North Indian religion. It is not. Acharya Kund, Tiruvallur. There are so many big poets and saints of South Indian language traditions, all of them who were actually Jain monks, right? So that's something we should also investigate. You can do Google on it and you'll find lots of work on it, right? So important thing, where was Kundacharya born? He was born in Kondakondapur, which is in the current state of Andhra, very close to Tamil Nadu. And the place where majority of where Acharya Kundakund was most active, like where he did most of his vihar and Chaturmas, that was in the territory of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, in particular Tamil Nadu. Okay. So that said, let's now move to the next story that we wanted to cover. So I hope you'll remember this story, this contribution of Acharya Kundukund and Samaisar in particular. Okay. So let's see. Let me go to the story of Anjan Chor now. Now, this is another very, very popular story. It's a story about how your karma defines your life, right? The choices that you make define your life. Now, when we say choices, we are not talking about the choices made for you, but rather the choices that are made by you, right? And in particular, the refined thoughts that define those choices, right? So if let's say I'm doing something, but my thought is on the negative side of it, I will get the negative karma by bound with me. So let's say I'm going to temple, है ना? Now I'm doing a great act. मेरा रोज का काम है वहां पर जाके अभिषेक पक्षाल करने का, और मैं पक्षाल करते हुए आई एम थिंकिंग अबाउट हाउ कैन आई स्टील मनी फ्रॉम विख्यात. So what kind of karma will I get? I will not get karma in accordance to the act I am doing there of, doing Bhagwan's Abhishek, but rather, more tainted, because I will get more tainted karma because I'm thinking about stealing money, right? Or doing Mayachar with Vikhyat or things of that nature, right? So it is very important for us to understand that, and that's what the story of Anjan Chor is all about. How a very a personality shaded with gray, very doing all bad things, suddenly had a great thought, and when he had the great thought, he also had an Ayubandh which defined his next life. Okay, so we'll cover that story now. Before I start, give me a feedback. Is the video still audible? Okay, I'll go on mute now.
I don't hear a single thing.
What was that?
Like, I don't hear a single thing.
That's
Now I hear.
that's exactly what I was asking you. You guys didn't give me a feedback. I don't know. Are you guys paying attention?
I can't hear.
Wait a sec. Okay, I've stopped sharing now so that I can play it again.
Story today. This story is about a thief whose name was Anjan, who would steal and rob people of their belongings. To take another person's things.
Samyak, can you hear the story? Okay.
Without their permission or knowledge, is called robbery or stealing. It is a sin to commit robbery and steal, which adds up to one's bad karmas. So let's begin with the story. There was a very beautiful city, which was named Rajgriha. And in this beautiful
So this city, Rajgiri, is a city in the modern Bihar state of India. Okay, it was an old capital city of many kingdoms. In particular, the capital of a king called Bimbisar, who lived around the time of Bhagwan Mahavir, actually, or Bimbisar's another name was Raja Shrenik. Okay, so he lived little bit after Mahavir Bhagwan, I think, and it was a very prosperous city. Rajgiri was a very prosperous city with a very high religious value. We are planning to go there soon, if everything works out. Okay, so let me play the story again.
city, there lived a very nice man. This man was a businessman, and his name was Jindat Seth. He liked going to the temple, worshipping God, offering prayers to God, and meditating. One night, he was meditating in the jungle. With his eyes shut, Jindat was in deep meditation. And so, two angels came to test him. They wanted to check if Jindat was in genuine meditation or if he was faking it. To test this, they decided to scare him and see if he ran away, leaving meditation midway. Both angels tried their best to scare him and irritate him. First, they ignited fire. Then, they made it rain, cats and dogs. And finally, they tried to scare him by sending wild animals. However, Jindat was in deep meditation, and all that he knew was that he had to continue with his meditation, despite any situation or distractions. He did not move a bit, neither did he get scared. And so, Jindat passed the test, and pleased with his dedication, the angels blessed him with superpower, Akash Gamini Vidya. Akash means sky, Gamini means to go, and Vidya means power. The angels gave Jindat the power to travel in the sky. Just like Superman has the power to fly in the sky, Jindat received a similar power. He got a beautiful plane-like machine, which could take him anywhere. He could go to any place he wanted with his superpower, without a train, car, or airplane. Jindat used his superpower to visit different temples and offer prayers to God. His friend Somdat used to watch him every day. So, one day he asked, Jindat, where do you go every morning? And so, Jindat told him about his superpower. Somdat said that he also wanted the superpower and pleaded him to tell him how he could get it. Jindat said that it was very easy. All that he needed was full faith on the Namokar mantra. And while chanting the Namokar mantra, he should sit on a rope string. And below that, he should plant some sharp and dangerous arrows and spears. And he told him not to be scared of the arrows and spears below him. And he should cut the rope holding the swing without any fear. And when he cuts the last string of rope, he would get the superpower too. Jindat told him that the most important thing was that he should not be scared and keep complete faith on the Namokar mantra. He should believe that the power of the Namokar mantra will not let him fall or get hurt. Just like we have faith in our mothers and fathers, that they will never hurt us and catch us if we fall, he told him that he should have the same level of faith on the Namokar mantra. That's it. Somdat said, okay, I'll do the same. However, when it came to cutting the last string of rope, he got scared and wondered, will I fall on the things below me while chanting the Namokar mantra? He got on and off the swing due to this fear. Anjan the thief was also hiding there in the jungle because he had stolen the queen's necklace. He was hiding from the king's soldiers and guards who were trying to catch him. Anjan the thief asked Somdat, "What are you doing? And why are you doing this?" To which Somdat replied that he was trying to get the superpower which would allow him to fly in the sky and travel anywhere. Somdat said that he was too scared of getting hurt and told the thief he could try if he wanted. Anjan the thief said that if Jindat said this, then it would definitely be true. He knew he wouldn't lie, since he followed Jainism. "I really need the superpower, otherwise the king's soldiers and guards will catch me and put me in jail," he thought. He quickly learned the Namokar mantra from Sumbat, and he climbed the swing. Sumbat left from there. Anjan tried to remember the Namokar mantra and started to recite it. However, he could not recollect it properly. He started to think of the Namokar mantra. Namo Anam? No. Namo Danam? No. Why can't I remember the mantra? Soon the king's soldiers and guards were quickly approaching him. Fearing this, Anjan started to chant the gibberish Namokar mantra. Anam, Danam, Chachu, Na, Janam, Say, Vichanam, Pranam, meaning he didn't remember the Namokar mantra, and he was trying to chant the same mantra that Somdat taught him. So, do you know what happened when he cut the last string of rope? Did he fall on the dangerous things below him? No, he got the superpower, Akash Gamini Vidya, the power to travel in the sky, and he flew away, saving himself from the king's soldiers and guards. He started to wonder, I chanted the gibberish and incomplete mantra, and I got the superpower? What will happen if I chant the right Namokar mantra? Will I get another superpower? Will I be super happy then? Using his superpower, he went to Jindat, the businessman, who already had this superpower. Jindat was worshipping God, and he was offering prayers at the Meru Mountains Nandaman temple. Anjan reached the temple to meet Jindat, and he started to offer prayers and worship God. He started to learn about Jainism and Dharma. So, even someone like a thief had full faith on the Namokar mantra, that it would save his life and become super powerful. Similarly, we should have full faith and trust on the Namokar mantra, that it will protect us from any difficult problem or situation we have in life. So, whenever you have any test, problem, exam, or fear, then what will you do? We will just remember our Namokar mantra, won't we? Jai Janendra.
So, two important messages here, right? One is the purity of thought that, Anjan Chor had, right? He was very innocent. He had complete belief into Jainism, and not just Jainism, even on the Shravak, Jain Shravak and his piousness, right? So that's very important, right? You have to have trust. You have to have trust in your philosophy, in the powers of your philosophy. And that's what there is a word I have written in the chat called as Nishankit Ang. It's called as Nishankit Ang. Nishankit Ang means having no doubt, being doubtless. Ni Shanka. Shanka means doubt. Ni Shanka means no doubt. So basically doubtless. Having no doubts on being doubtless on the powers of Jainism is what is the main message conveyed here. Now, more importantly, the one other subtle message that I started with when I started this story was he was a thief, right? All his life, earned his livelihood by being a thief, by stealing money away. And you know it is one of the paps, right? Chori is one of the paps, isn't it? We had covered this earlier in the classes. So how come a thief who's deriving all his income, all his resources by stealing it away, snatching it away from other people, suddenly turned, pious and get the main power, the floating, the Akash Gamini Vidya, the power to float in the air, right? That's because of his trust in Jainism, and that was a turning moment for him also in his life. What is not talked about in the story is when he went to Acharya Jindat, that was a turning moment in his life. He turned his life completely, right? He started realizing that how bad of a life he is living and how bad of a choices he had made in his life. Now he's repenting all those and getting, ultimately he became a Digambar Muni, right? And in his next life attained, a better life form. So how that is possible? It's possible because of with your own acts, the kind of karma that you attract, right? When you are doubtless on Jainism, you get punya karma on your side. Those punya karma defines the opportunities and the moments that you get in life, है ना? So it's very important that we follow Nishankit Ang, which is being doubtless on Jainism and the faith that we have inherited through a very rich line of tradition. We should be very thankful to our forefathers who not only followed Jainism but inculcated, gave us the right kind of genetics, to and right kind of family lineage to follow through this Jainism through the difficult times. You won't be able to believe the kind of times of persecution and hardships that our forefathers had to go through, especially during the Middle Ages, when all these foreign invaders came and colonized our country. Right? Even during those time when temples were broken down, Jains were persecuted, they were killed, they were converted. It is our forefathers who somehow survived in those difficult times, and not only survived, they continued the faith with them. And that's why we should be proud, and we should make every effort to stay doubtless and continue this rich line of heritage that we have on our shoulders, right? So irrespective of which country you live in, that doesn't matter. I have not seen the hard times. We live in such great times of peace and prosperity, that you can't imagine, you cannot compare these times with the times that our forefathers had to go through, right? Living in India at that time, the kind of ages they were. Every place you'll go, in North India in particular, you'll find temple after temples broken down, converted, and whatnot. In spite of all those hardships, our faith survived, right? So we should be proud of that. If we don't read that, we are more interested in history of Jews and Europeans and whoever is available in the most lucid books. We try to hog on those. We try to read them. What we try to avoid is reading our own history, our own heritage, right? You will find it everywhere. Go read history of Jainism, how it survived, and ask your parents, your grandparents, on how did we survive, how did the faith survive, how did Jainism continued in our family. You will hear so many great stories, है ना Samyak? Right, Aviral and Vikhyat, right? So be proud of that. So most important thing is be proud of that. You don't have to think about every other guy that news wallas are talking about, all the time. You have to think about yourself first. How would you become a better human being, right? How have you come to this moment in the evolution, in the journey of humankind, and how have you been born in a Jain family, right? So that's what you should be proud of. And you should be proud that you have got such great parents that they are making every effort to keep you connected with Jainism in spite of they living in this country, where it's so difficult, it's so materialistic. Everyone is running after money and whatnot, and following every most popular faith, or which is more driven by optics and quantity over quality. So that's what you have to keep in mind and be proud of it. Okay. So I'll take a pause here. There is not much to cover. As I said, these were the stories that were there, but it was not given as a assignment topic for today. But irrespective, it doesn't matter, right? Acharya Kundakud story and a story of this Anjan Chor centered around Nishankit Ang is very, very important for us to understand and follow through on. Okay. Any questions, beta? Good. Okay. If not, then we'll do Jinwani Stuti and we'll end the session today. या वाणी के मान से ज्ञान से सूझे लोकालोक, ते वाणी मस्तक धरूं सदा देहूं धो। हे जिनवाणी भारती माँ, तो हे जपूं दिन रैन, जो तेरी शरणा गए सो पावे सुख चैन। उत्तम क्षमा बच्चों। जय जिनेन्द्र। हैव अ ग्रेट week ahead.
Uttam Shama,
Jai
Jai
Jain.
Jain.
Jai
Uttam
Jinesh.
Shama. Jai Jain.
Uttam
Thank
Shama,
you.
Jai Jain. Bye. Thank
Thank you.